How to distinguish love from a crush. Whether you have just started a relationship with your crush or you have been dating him for a while, there are a few things you should know about how to tell love from a crush. While it may be tempting to act too fast, you should resist the urge to jump in too quickly. Instead, follow these tips to make your crush feel special. Infatuation versus love. Getting infatuated and then falling in love can be a confusing process. Both feelings can be intense and have their own merits. However, they are different in a number of ways. Infatuation is a kind of obsession that involves a strong desire to be with someone. It is similar to drug use. The person may develop unhealthy habits and not be focused on the real world. They may also have unrealistic expectations of the relationship. Love, on the other hand, is a much more intimate experience. It involves understanding the other person, knowing their flaws, and allowing them to feel complete. It also involves seeing the other person's vulnerability. Infatuation is a powerful emotion that can be a relationship killer. It may even lead to regrettable actions. It is often accompanied by lust. It can be a maddening experience and can make you want to do things that you shouldn't. You may find yourself compromising with your partner not because they are perfect, but because you want to impress them. Infatuation can be a good thing, however. It can lead to later love. If you are infatuated, you may want to take time before making any big decisions. It can also be a sign of a healthy relationship. During the infatuation stage, people often fantasize about a perfect future together. They think about their partner's every move, and they are often highly self-centered. They may also think about blackmailing or hurting the other person. Love, on the other hand, gives people a sense of security. It is a quiet understanding of the other person's imperfections. It is also a form of peace and contentment. It is a way of living. It also involves knowing a person well. Infatuation can be accompanied by a surge in dopamine. It also involves a sense of freedom. It is a kind of addiction. Mirroring is believed to be a sign of interest. Taking note of someone's body language can be tricky, especially if you're in the throes of a crush. However, it's not impossible. The trick is to identify if the other person is interested in you. The more obvious signs include body language and conversation. If they are not, you might be out of luck. One of the first things an infant learns is how to mirror other people's actions. They might do this by mimicking the movements of other animals or the position of objects. It's also possible to learn more about a person by mimicking their body language. Mirroring can be a good indication of a person's interest in you. However, it's not a necessary evil, especially in long-term relationships. It's also a great way to connect with others. For instance, if you're a man, you might enjoy spending time with a woman. Whether you're looking to make a good impression on a potential employer or to snag an internship, you'll want to make sure your body language is up to snuff. Mirroring is a common occurrence in many established relationships. In fact, you may be one of many mirroring their mate's moves. Likewise, if you're in the throes of a crush, you might be feeling quite anxious. If you're in a social situation, you may be tempted to fidget with a mobile device or check your watch. However, the most appropriate reaction would be to ignore the urge. Mirroring is also a good way to persuade others to offer you their goods or services. However, it is not necessarily a surefire way to make friends or gain the favor of a romantic interest. It's best to remember that people are generally cautious and won't take you seriously if you're trying to nudge them into something you want them to do. Avoid making them feel like they have to respond. Among the many reasons to avoid the crush averse, there are those that involve your own good and the goodie that follows. In this context, the best way to go about this endeavor is to be proactive rather than reactive. For example, it may be a good idea to ask your crush for a date on your birthday, or ask them to join you for a nice evening on the town. As with any relationship, a little courtesy goes a long way. In addition to asking your crush for a date, you may want to consider a few nifty tips and tricks to ensure that you make the best of your situation. First and foremost, you need to find out what your crush likes and dislikes are. If not, you might be best left alone. In addition, you'll need to figure out if your crush has any interests in the romantic variety. Some people may find that they're simply more comfortable with a self-sufficient partner. Alternatively, you could find that you're incompatible with a more compatible crush. This might be a good time to get some professional advice. The more knowledgeable you are, the better off you'll be. Finally, it may be worth mentioning that while you may be in the middle of an unplanned affair, you might find that you have a genuine interest in your crush. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it does mean that you'll have to get creative with your communication. For example, you can write a personal note to your crush or send them a flirty text message. You'll need to make sure to choose the right location and time, though. The latter is particularly important if you're looking to keep the relationship light. It's also worth mentioning that you should avoid the usual suspects. This includes, but is not limited to, jerks, snobs, and the dreaded liars. You may also find that you're in a romantic relationship with someone who doesn't feel the same way about you. Start low-stakes conversations. Having a crush can be a fun experience, but it can also be a painful one. There are things you can do to make the experience less painful. You may not want to ask your crush on a date, but you can tell him or her how you feel. This will give you the opportunity to talk about your feelings without worrying about upsetting your current relationship. You can make a text message about how you feel. You can also use a GIF to show off your sense of humor. You can even write a note and send it to your crush. The message will come across as a thoughtful gesture. Flirting involves subtle innuendos and conversation. You can use this approach to your advantage. By poking gentle fun at the person you're lusting after, you'll generate a certain amount of sexual tension. You can also tell your crush that you're not interested in romantic relationships. This will give him or her time to process their feelings. It can also provide you with breathing room. If you're dealing with a situation that may upset your current relationship, you can text or write to your crush about the situation. You may even ask for advice. If you're having a hard time talking to your crush, try to have a conversation in small increments. Depending on how you feel, you can tell him or her that you're not sure about a date or that you don't have any feelings. This can help the person you're chatting with process their feelings without upsetting the situation. If you're having a tough time admitting your crush to your partner, you may want to try taking a relationship quiz. This can help you start a conversation that will get your relationship back on track. You may also want to consider getting help. There are marriage counselors who have seen the damage that affairs can do to a relationship. You can also learn how to protect your relationship. If you're having a difficult time talking to your crush, consider having an emotional, intimate conversation. This can help you jumpstart the process of growing back together.